Hey guys, Brandon Wren here, Nashville Bassist, coming to you with a new video. So today's video is going to be a product review of a DI box that I've had since the end of last year. It's fairly new to the market, and like I said, I just got it the tail end of last year and was able to do just a couple or three shows with it. But I've finally got it dialed in where I want it, and it sounds fantastic. As soon as I saw this, when it first came out, I knew I had to get my hands on it and check it out and see what it was about. It's impressed me even more than I thought it was going to. For the foreseeable future, it is my main DI box on my touring rig. Now there's some other stuff out there that I really want as well, but this thing's not going anywhere. At least for this year, as far as I can see, this is going to be my main DI. If it gets replaced at some point, it's not going to go away. It's always going to be in my arsenal because it is fantastic. But let's go ahead and jump into it. I've shot a couple videos on this pedal already, but in shooting this main review kind of demo video, this is the fourth time I've shot it. The first time I shot it, it didn't come out the way I wanted it, so I did it again and sat on that one for a while for whatever reason, and then I decided to actually go back and redo that one. So I got done with shooting it the third time and went to edit and watch it and realized that there was something wrong with my mixer. And so you couldn't really hear much, and it was garbled, and there was something really weird going on with my mixer. So we are reshooting it today. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. The first time I shot this, it was over an hour. The second and third times I shot it, it was just below 45 minutes. So we're going to try to stay below 45 minutes, but I do want to really do a deep dive on this pedal to show you what it's all about and give you all the ins and outs. There's a couple videos on YouTube surrounding this DI box that I felt did a great job, but more of the videos that I saw really, in my opinion, didn't capture what this box is and what all it can do. So like I said, I really want to do a deep dive, but we are going to try to push through it and make it as quick as possible. But stick with me because I think it's going to be worth it. This may be something you've been looking at, so I want to present it as best as I can to you. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to do some close-ups and show you all the different functions and features of this pedal and give you some tones. So let's go ahead and jump on over. All right, guys, so here we are. This is the new Ampeg SGT-DI. This is miles ahead of the SCR-DI that Ampeg gave us a few years back. I believe wholeheartedly this is the pedal, the DI box we have been looking for from Ampeg for a long time. It is fantastic, guys. I think it looks awesome. And let's be honest, we want our gear to look cool. Not only does this have what I call the first type of cool, which is, you know, the functionality, what it's supposed to do. But it's got that second type of cool, which is the look. I think it looks awesome. This thing is built super well, extremely well. I think it's going to hold up quite a bit when you're traveling with this. It's not as hefty as the SCR-DI was as far as the casing, but it is still beefy, and it is still very, very nice. The knobs are much better. The knobs are very, very solid. Where on the SCR-DI, they weren't quite. But the SCR-DI was just that, I don't know what it was made of. I assume it was like some sort of like steel or something, but it was just like really, really thick, really bulky, really heavy. It was like a tank. This thing's not quite as beefy as that, but it is very, very solid. But it's also quite a bit lighter, which is great for traveling around and stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the features of this and what all we have. So up top here, we've got our EQ section. You can see we got a few different things going on. From left to right, we have a stacked knob, which is our volume, overall master volume, and a one knob compressor. And we'll talk more about that compressor here in a moment. The next knob is our bass control. Then we've got our mid frequencies, which is a stacked knob, and we'll get into that as well. Then we have our treble control. And then last but not least, we have another stacked knob, which is our grit and level for the SGT circuit. And obviously, we're going to get into that and tell you all about that. Going down below that, we have a three-way selector switch for our cab. So this is our cab sim stuff. This is the digital portion of this pedal. It does have 3 slots on it where we can upload our own IRs, which is fantastic. So you've got 3 slots to upload your own, and then you've got 3 presets on there that come on the pedal. You can't get rid of them. They stay on the pedal, and we'll talk more about those, but it does give you 3 user slots that you can put your own IRs in, which is fantastic. Next to that, we've got an ultra low, which is actually a 3-way setting, and we'll get into that more here in a minute. Then we have our ultra high, and then we come to our voicing or our voice switch. This is what's going to give us either that SVT sound or that B15 sound, and it does give us both, and it does both of them extremely well. Down below that, we've got 2 foot switches, one to turn our preamp on and off, and then the other one to turn that SGT circuit on and off. Over here on the left side of the unit, we have a few things going on. We've got a ground lift switch. Then we've got our XLR out. Then we have where it's labeled mode. There's a little switch on the side. If you switch it up, it gives us 1 bank of cabs. If you put it in the middle, it turns them off. And if you flip it down, it gives us that other bank of cabs, which is going to be our user presets. Down below that, we've got this little knob. If we push it in, it pops out. You can adjust your cab level, and when you get it set, you just push it back in. It's spring-loaded, and that way you're not inadvertently accidentally hitting any knobs and changing the level on your cab. So that's really, really cool. On the other side over here, we have a couple of auxiliary ends. We've got a 1/4 inch and an 1/8 inch end, so you can plug different things into this. I use the 1/8 inch end a lot for plugging my iPhone in or an iPod or something like that, my computer, to play music through this to play along to, which is really, really awesome. You've got a button here that it's kind of like on the other side. When you push it in, it pops out. You can adjust your aux level, then push it in when you're done. So let's see here. Going up top of the unit, this time working from right to left, we got our input. We've got a through. We've got our DC, which is our DC in, our power supply. Then we've got a preamp out, and next to that we've got our regular standard 1/4 inch out, which can also be a plug-in for your phones, your headphones, if you want to use this as a practice amp, and it's fantastic for that. I'm using it all the time. So let's go ahead and jump into the outs up here on top of this unit, and we'll explain what's going on. So you say, well, what's the difference between the two? One's a preamp out and one's your standard out. So when you're using the preamp out, you're only getting what's coming off of the preamp. You're not getting any of the cab sim stuff. You're not getting any of the SGT circuit. You're just getting what's coming off of the preamp, okay? I do believe that includes the ultra low and ultra high, but you're getting just what you've got coming off of the preamp, okay? Now with this output, which is the main output, as well as the XLR, with either of those, you get anything you're putting through this pedal. So if you're using the cab sim stuff, the SGT circuit, whatever, anything you've got set on this pedal and that you're using, that you have engaged on this pedal, will come through either this 1/4 inch or this XLR out. And you think, well, why do they give us those options? Well, think about it. If you've ever played on stage with like a cab and an amp, and you want to mic the cab, but you also want to send some sort of direct signal out from the amp, whether that be using a direct box or if you have a DI out on your actual amp. A lot of times we do that, and then we blend the two together. So we've got our mic'd cab sound, and then we've got a clean DI out. And you can blend those in your ears. Front of house guy can blend them as he needs them. If he wants to use them both, sometimes they just use the direct signal. But you can kind of do the same thing with this pedal. So you can send the preamp out and get just the clean sound of your preamp, but then you can have this cab sim stuff on, and now you can send it out of one of these, and it sounds like you're micing a cab. So you can blend those two together. I think that's really, really awesome. That's something I'm definitely going to be using in the future, especially since I don't really use cabs on stage anymore, even on big tours. Even when I have people setting up my own equipment, I haven't used cabs in probably close to 8 years now. I've been running a bunch of DI boxes, mainly because the technology's come a long, long way. I'm running in-ears, and I'm getting the tones I want. But that's really cool that we've got those options. All right, so let's talk about the compressor. So this is just a 1-knob compressor. It's pretty good for what it is, you know. It gives us a little bit of compression, a little bit of squash. I think you can go anywhere from like, 1-to-1 up to 10-to-1. I use it a little bit just to get some of those extreme outliers. I don't play with a lot of compression. I know my front of house guys will usually throw some compression on there. If I'm in the studio, I'm generally running through a studio compressor. But as far as live playing, I don't play with pedal compression generally. It's just not something I use, not something I do. But this has been nice for what it is, just to give you just a little bit to get rid of some of those outliers and just kind of make things just a tad bit more even. It's not too bad. Now, if you're using a pedal compressor, I would say just go ahead and keep using that and turn this down and just go with what you're already using. But if you don't use compression or you want to use just a little bit, this can come in handy. It's been great for what it is. So moving on down the line, we've got our bass and our treble. And these are boost or cut, so you can either boost the bass or cut the bass. Same with the treble, boost or cut. Which is great. I like having a booster cut and not just, turning it up. I like being able to cut. It's really nice to me to fine tune and dial in your sound that you're wanting. Now let's talk about this mid-range frequency. This is really, really cool, and this gives us more control over our tone and really allows us to put our thumbprint on our tone. So we've got our level, which is also a boost and cut, but what you can now do is you can select frequencies that you want to boost and cut. So anything between 200 and 3K, you can find what frequency you want and either boost it or cut it. So that's really cool. It gives us a lot more control. I really like having that on this pedal. It's come in really nicely. I've got mine set just below 500. So somewhere between 450 and 500, but just below 500, and I've got it actually cut just a tad, and that seemed to work well with what I'm doing. So it's really, really nice. I like having that control. Let's move on over to actually let's move down and talk about the ultra low and ultra high real quick. So I really like this ultra low setting. The ultra high is cool too. I use it from time to time. But I've been a big fan of Ampeg's ultra low and ultra high settings for a long time. I really like what it does to your tone. The way it affects not only, the ultra low doesn't just give you a low boost. It really kind of shapes those low frequencies and even some of the low mids, in my opinion, to really, really tighten up that low end. It sounds really, really good. So I love having that function on like your SVT amps. And now that they've put this on a pedal, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. This is a big part of shaping my tone. Absolutely. We're actually going to put that in the middle position there, and we're going to turn that off. And the ultra high is great. I use it from time to time, but I use that ultra low more than anything. But they're fantastic to have to shape your tone. So let's head on over to the SGT circuit here. We've got a dual stack knob up here, and this is our level for the SGT circuit. And a knob that's labeled grit, which is going to be kind of our overdrive. Okay, so the level on this, you can blend in how much of that SGT circuit you're wanting to come through. I kind of set the level on here to be the same as if I have this on or off. That way, if I'm kicking this on, there's not a big volume change between just running the preamp side and then kicking this on as well. That's kind of how I do it. If this is something you're going to have on all the time, you can set that knob wherever you want. Like I said, I set it so my volume when I switch between having this on and off is pretty much the same. But then you can adjust your grit level, and we're gonna talk more about that when we actually get into the cab stuff. But this gives you overdrive, just like you're overdriving an amp, and it's really cool. It sounds really great. So with the SGT circuit, we also have this voice switch, and this is going to give us our voicings whether we want an SVT sound or a B15 sound. And like I said, it does them both really great. You can really dial in an SVT tone and then dial in that old B15 sound, which is fantastic. I like them both. They're really great. The B15, I think I'm going to use a lot if I end up using this pedal for some studio stuff. It's really, really fantastic. Now, you do have to have this switch engaged to use either one of these voicings, and I think there's been some confusion on that. In fact, I've seen that in some of the other videos that I've watched where they said on screen that it was in SVT mode, but they didn't have this engaged. You have to have this engaged to use one of these voicings. It does not work without having the switch engaged. Obviously, over here, we've got our preamp switch, which turns our preamp on and off. And this is one of the main things I want to talk about with this pedal. So this preamp in this pedal sounds fantastic. Even better than I thought it was going to sound. So I'm a huge fan of the Avalon U5. It is like my go-to DI box. There's other great ones out there that I would love to have, love to use, but the Avalon U5 is like my go-to box. I have one. I use it for virtually everything. I've toured with it for a while. Sometimes it's a little hard to tour with, especially if you're doing some flight 8s or just different things like that. I have done it, and I've done it for a couple of years now, but I love the Avalon U5 for both live and studio. It sounds fantastic. I'm able to achieve my U5 sounds with this pedal. It's the first pedal I've been able to do that with. I'm not saying it's the only one out there that can do it, but it's the first one that I've come across that I've demoed and played where I can actually dial in that tone, that specific tone that I get with my U5, which is my sound. It's my go-to sound. So that's fantastic that I have my U5 tone in this pedal that I can take with me anywhere for anything. Small clubs, whatever. On the bus, on the plane. I now have it in pedal form, and that is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. This preamp sounds really, really good, and you've got a wide variety of tones. Now, for today, for time's sake, I'm not going to get into changing my tone around too much, mainly just for time's sake, and I don't want to mess up my settings. But when I say that you've got so much available tones and tone options in this box, it's fantastic. You can achieve pretty much anything you're looking for. It sounds great, and there's so much headroom on either side of these boost and cut knobs. It's just fantastic. But we're going to kind of keep this tone the way it is today, but we'll fool around with the ultra low, ultra high, and things like that, the compressor, the cab sim, and the SGT and stuff. All right, so let's talk about the cab sim stuff. So this is really, really cool. If you're into the cab sim stuff, the IR things like that, this is really cool. So we've got an analog pedal, but they give us this digital cab simulation technology, and it's really cool. So like I said, there's a switch on the side over here. If it's in the middle position, this is off. Now, if you switch it in the up position, you're going to see a light pop on here, and it's going to turn blue. This gives us our first bank of cabs, and these are the ones that come on this and stay on this. They're not ones you can remove and replace. These are ones that come on this pedal and stay on this pedal. So they give us a Heritage 115, a Heritage 410, and a big squareback 810, which is fantastic. Those are all your classic Ampeg cabs. Now, if we switch it in the down position, you notice it turns purple. So this gives us our second bank, and these are our user presets. So this is where we can upload our own IRs, our own cab sims, and you've got 3 slots to do that, which is fantastic. Now, those slots do come populated when you get this pedal. So it comes with a 112, a 212, and a 210, and they're great. So if you want to keep those on there, that's fantastic. If you want to replace those with your own IRs, you can. But it's really cool that they give us this technology. I don't use a lot of IR technology, but it's definitely something I want to experiment with, and the fact that I've got that function in this pedal is awesome. I've used a couple of the cabs a couple times, but I'm generally running this pedal without using the cab sim stuff, but it's something I definitely want to dive into more. I just haven't used it enough to really experiment and understand it yet. But I like that it has that function, and when I get some time to really sit down and dial it in, I'm going to be definitely doing that to get some more tones and more sounds and things. So really, really awesome that we have the IR technology in this pedal. So I told you I was going to talk a little bit more about the grit part of the SGT circuit when we talked about the cab sim stuff. And the reason why is when I have the cab sim off and I'm using this grit level, I feel like it acts more like an overdrive pedal. Something like a dark glass, and I'm not saying it sounds like a dark glass, but you got the idea. Excuse me. You get the idea. You know, your basic overdrive pedal. I feel like with the cab sim off, so if we've got this cab sim off and we're using this SGT circuit, you can get a little more gnarly as you turn this up, and it gets more gnarly quicker as you're turning the knob up. But it acts more like an overdrive pedal. Now, it acts like a really good overdrive pedal that's simulating, you know, breakup in an amp, but it feels more like an overdrive pedal to me. When I turn the cab sim stuff on, the cab sim definitely reshapes and kind of changes your tone, because now it makes it sound like you're running through a cab, which just gives us a different sound. So when we're using the cab sim stuff and we're using this grit level, it doesn't get as gnarly as quick, and even if you dime it out, it's not as gnarly as it is when you have the cab sim off. But to my ears, it sounds like when you have the cab sim on and you're using this, it feels like it's more acting like an amp breaking up and giving you that natural overdrive, like you're driving an SVT. It sounds more like that to my ears. Is it designed that way? I don't know, but I feel like that's kind of how it's reacting in my ears. So I think that's kind of cool. Like I said, I don't know if they designed it that way, but it just seems to my ears to be reacting that way. And it could just be me. And like I said, the cab sim stuff does kind of reshape your tone. So it could be that it's just reshaping it enough that this just reacts differently because of that. So I don't know. But like I said, that's just kind of how it's sounding to my ears. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and give you some tones here. We're going to go ahead and get into it. Today I'm playing through my Fender 62J bass. I generally play with both of my pickups on full, and then my tone rolled off about 50%. That's kind of the way I like it. Somewhere between like 40 to 50% is usually where I have it rolled off to. I like rolling off just a little bit of those highs. I think it just sits very well. So we're going to start out with the pedal with nothing on. So we're just going to hear the pedal as just kind of a direct box. So this is just the natural sound of the pedal without any of the preamp, without any of the tone shaping on. I think it's a great tone. It's a good jumping off point. It is a little bit thin in my opinion, but there's some characteristics about it that I really, really like. So let's go ahead and listen to just kind of the natural sound of this pedal. And like I said, no tone shaping on whatsoever, running it just like we'd be running through a direct box, and this is what we get. So that to me is a really, really good tone. I really, really enjoy it. It's got some great things about it, but it is missing a little bit. It's a little bit thin, in my opinion, a little bit lifeless. It just needs a little something else. The things I like about it, I like the spankiness of it, kind of the growliness, spankiness of it, and I like the clarity. But we are missing a little bit of low end, some tone shaping, you know, in the mids and possibly even the highs, but it's a great starting point, and it sounds great. When I started dialing in my settings on this, I kept a lot of the characteristics that I liked about that tone, and there were some that I really, really liked. So I kept those, but then I fixed some of the things that I was missing. So, like I said, I'm not going to change any of my tone up here today. We're just going to go through the different features, because I've got it dialed in just the way I want it, and I'm trying to save time for this video. But once again, let's hear this pedal without, and then we'll kick on the preamp, and you can see the difference. So here's with no tone shaping on. here's with the preamp engaged. So as you can see, there was quite a bit of change there. Even though the changes that I did were fairly minimal, they made a huge difference. So it sounded quite a bit similar to the original tone that we had. We just made it a little better. We gave it a little more warmth. We actually did give it just a tad bit more clarity in a couple areas, but we kept the spankiness. We kept the clarity of the original tone. We just gave it a little more warmth and a little more oomph. Now, we're not done with it yet, and I'm going to show you kind of my secret weapon here in just a moment, but I think this is a fantastic tone. I really worked on dialing this in, and like I said, I got this to sound, this is essentially my U5, Avalon U5 tone. Now, like I said, we're not done. There's one other secret weapon to fine-tune it and get it exactly to that U5 tone. But this is kind of what I come up with. I actually kind of cut the bass a little bit, really shaped my frequencies somewhere right below 500. I did a little bit of a cut, as you can see here. My treble I have at noon. I kind of like it just sitting at noon and where it is. But as I was using this bass knob, I noticed as I turned it up, I was getting some of the low-end oomph that I want. But I was losing a little bit of the clarity and a little bit of the spankiness. And then I found I kind of took it the other direction. So I started going down, and when I got to flat, I kept going and I actually cut it just a little bit. And I found just in about this 11 o'clock position, 11:30 position, I liked the characteristics it was giving me. It was keeping that low end clarity and that low end spankiness. But then I lost some of my oomph. I lost some of that bulky boom of the low end. So knowing Ampeg products the way that I do and having used SVT amps in the past, I knew what I can do with these two switches here, especially this ultra low. So when I switch this ultra low on, I gain back kind of that oomph that I'm missing by turning this down. But by having this down and turning this up, I'm able to keep that clarity and that spankiness in the low end. But with this, I'm able to get the oomph back, so I have the best of both worlds. Not only that, it gives me a little bit extra bump here, so I had to kind of turn that down just a little bit even more. It gives me a low-end bump, but it just really reshapes those frequencies in that low end, and even, in my opinion, the low mids, and just makes them sit really nicely. So we're going to go back through. We're going to start at the beginning of here, give you just the basic tone again. Then we're going to turn the preamp on, let you hear that, and then we're going to hit our ultra low and let you see what it does to finalize our tone. So here's our original tone. Here's our preamp on. And here's our ultra lows on. So that to me is just fantastic. That is gold. That is my tone that I strive to achieve. It's that just really nice Avalon U5 tone. And I keep going back to Avalon U5. You can get that type of tone with other things, but the Avalon is, the reason I go after the Avalon is it's perfect to me in the tone that it gives me. And I'm able to achieve that kind of tone with this pedal, and it's just fantastic. This adds so much. It just really kind of reshapes some of the things you have going on. To me, when you turn it on, in addition to giving you kind of that low end bump and kind of reshaping those lows, it reshapes the mids a little bit. It almost gives you a little bit of a scooped sound, but not too much of a scoop sound, not to where you're losing those mids that you really need to punch through in a mix. It keeps that, but it just gives us this just really nice sound. So we'll go back and forth again real quick. So here's our tone without, and pay attention to some of the higher notes I hit especially, but listen to what we've got with our original tone. And now let's switch it on and hear the difference. Man, that's just nice. What it does to me is it keeps all the spankiness and the clarity, but it gives, at the same time, it gives us this like just velvety, buttery character to it. It's just really, really nice. I like using this um, in this way, you know, kind of turning our bass down and actually doing just a slight cut in the bass. Um, and we're not getting rid of our bass or our low end. We're turning it down just a little bit just to kind of let some of those nicer frequencies and characteristics come through, but then making up some of that low end with this. But then this also just really tightens up and shapes that low end. It's just super, super nice. I really like that tone. Now, if I need to go back and have just a little bit more spankiness and a little bit harsher of a tone, and I want to say harsh because it's not a harsh tone, but just a little bit more, I don't know what I'm trying to say, a little more mid-rangey of a tone, we can take this back off. And that's a fantastic tone right there. Very usable tone. But I really love when we turn this on, what it does right there. You hear that? Let's go back and forth. There's just something right in there. And those low mids that just really, man, it just really sings to my ears. I love this unit, guys. It sounds phenomenal. But having these are the secret weapon of Ampeg, in my opinion. It just really adds so much to your tone. Let's go ahead and move over here to our ultra highs. I use these ever so often, but I don't use them a lot. But here's the difference. So let's play without it. And now let's switch it on. So right away, you can obviously see that it adds a lot more brightness, gives you a lot more of that top end, but it doesn't make it too brittle. You know, it's still nice and round and punchy, but it does brighten it up a lot. That's, man, I can't say how much I like these features on this pedal. It's just really, really fantastic what you can do. These really help you shape so much. And like I said, I feel like this affects your low end and your low mids. With this, I feel like it affects your highs, but also your high mids. So it just really kind of ties everything together. It's just really fantastic. I really like what Ampeg does with these ultra low and ultra high settings. It's just fantastic. Now, for generally, unless I'm playing some rock, especially, you know, maybe harder rock or more modern rock, I should say, I'm probably going to have this off. If I was playing a lot of modern rock, which I play some, but it's not the bulk of what I play, I would probably play with that quite a bit more. But I like just a little bit of a warmer, more closed off tone, so that to me is just better. Sounds fantastic. Sounds fantastic. Like I said, there's so much headroom on either side of all these knobs that you can really dial in whatever tone you're wanting. But this is kind of the tone that I've come up with, and I really, really like it. Let's go ahead and jump into the SGT circuit and let you hear some of that. So we're going to keep it on B15 mode right now. So we'll play without it, and then we'll kick it on and let you hear the difference. I have a little bit of gain. I mean, very little, like subtle, like almost to the point where you can't hear it, but just enough to really make kind of a difference. But we'll kick on this SGT circuit in our B15 voicing. The volume should be set the same unless I've bumped it inadvertently and didn't realize, but I've got the volumes set pretty much the same whether this is on or off. So we'll go back and forth between the two and let you hear kind of what the SGT circuit does. So here's without. And here's with the SGT circuit engaged. So definitely tell a big difference there. It got a little bit more punchy in the low end. It definitely shaped our tone a little bit, took some of the highs out. But it's kind of that just nice, warm B15 sound. We can do things like stuff like that. So really cool sound. I'm liking the B15 stuff for a lot of the old R&B type stuff. What was I playing the other day? Some Adobe Gray I was playing. I was learning or sitting down and going back over what's it called? Drift Away. And I was able to kind of dial in kind of that old tone. Now, it'd be nicer if I had, maybe like a P bass with some flats or something like that. But it just sounds really good. It's a really, really cool tone. Let's go ahead and turn our grit up a little bit and give you a little more. And I may have to adjust my my level, because as we turn this up, it gives us a little more volume. But let's turn this up to noon. We'll adjust this on the back end, and here's what we got. Let's turn that down just a little more. So you can see it gave us a little more, but not too gnarly. It's very subtle as it moves up. Let's go ahead and put it here. Now we're getting there. Need to turn that volume down to adjust. And then let's dime it all the way out. So you can get a lot of overdrive there just with that. I don't play with a lot of overdrive, but it is nice. It sounds really, really great. I play with a little bit. I don't think I would ever put it past noon, but for some things, some things I would and some things I have. But it's just a good... just to sound like you're just slightly driving those tubes. Let's turn it on SVT mode, which is going to be a little louder than the B15 mode, so we may have to adjust again. But let's turn this down here. Actually, let's turn it all the way down and just do a clean SVT sound. So you can hear the difference here. Here's B15. Let's turn the volume back up to about where we had it. So let's turn that back just a little bit. Now go to our SVT. As you can see, it gives a little bit louder. Great tone. I really enjoy the SVT, especially for live stuff. Let's give you a little more overdrive. We'll adjust here, compensate. Definitely getting there. Excuse me, guys. I'm dealing with allergies. It's been awful. Let's go up some more. Adjust our volume. definitely getting pretty gnarly now, and let's go all the way up. Let's play with a pick here real quick. Man, like I said, I don't play with a lot of overdrive, but it's so much fun. It's so cool. If I do some, you know, rock stuff and things like that, I'll use it. But more times than not, I'm not using a lot. But man, this sounds really cool. That is a great SVT sound right there. And one thing, if you noticed, this knob reacts different whether you're in SVT or B15 mode. You know, with SVT, you're able to get a little more gnarly, get just some really banging overdrive, and the B15's a little more subtle. And that's the kind of characteristic of a B15 and SVT. So it really reacts kind of the way you would if you were running through a real SVT or a real B15. It's just really, really cool. But this is such a cool circuit. I really enjoy it. It's just really, really cool. Let's bump that back. That to me is just awesome. You got just a little bit of overdrive on there. Just to give it that little bit of extra crispiness. Let's turn it back to B15. Really, really cool. I really like the SGT circuit. It's awesome. Really, really awesome. There's one or two tones that I'm using with it right now, kind of live, and some of the stuff that I'm doing. I'm probably playing more without it right now, but I'm definitely kicking it on for a few tunes there, and it sounds great. It sounds really, really good. So let's go ahead and jump into our cab sim stuff over here. So let's turn the SGT circuit off. Let's keep our preamp on, and let's turn this on to this first bank here, and we'll start off with our 115. So there again, let's play without it and let you hear the tone. And let's switch it on. So yeah, nice 115 cabinet right there. Sounds great. Let's go to our 410 cab. And last but not least, 810. Really, really cool. I really like having that technology. Let's turn our SGT circuit on. We'll keep it in B15 mode. We'll put this back up on 115. So now it's like we're running through an old classic B15 with a 115 cab. So here we go. Let's get our settings, or get our volume, rather. Those are pretty similar. All right, without. And with our SGT circuit engaged. Yeah, nice B15. Now let's run that. Let's actually switch over to SVT. we'll go down to our 410 cab. So now we're running SVT with the 410. And now the big 810 cab. So very classic sound, SVT with an 810 square back. Really, really, really cool. Awesome. Now with the cab sim stuff on, obviously it's going to affect your tone quite a bit. It's going to make it a lot boomier, a lot darker, so you may have to go back and adjust your EQ. If you're playing with this on quite a bit, you know, just set it to however you want to run this pedal. But let's go ahead and jump down to our other bank. These are our user presets where we can put our own IRs in there. I don't have any of my own IRs in there right now. We're just using what comes populated in there. So we'll run through them. We've got a 112, a 212, and a 210 cab. So let's go to B15, and this is B15 with a 112. Now with the 212. And a 210. There you go, guys. You got a lot of really cool cab sounds in here, but the fact that you can replace any of those three or all of those three with your own IRs and fine tune them and get them to sound the way you want is awesome. Now, I will say real quick, I may be confused on what order that second bank of cabs is in, since it's not written on here anywhere. I think it goes 112, 212, 210, but it could be in a different order. So I apologize if I'm wrong on those, but I'm pretty sure that's the order. But they all sound great. Switch to SVT. So many different tonal options between the cab, sim stuff, the SGT circuit, and the preamp alone. It's just really, really awesome. Now, the cool thing with this pedal, you can run this in any configuration you want. So let's go up to 115 cabinet. So right now we're running a B15 with a 115 cab with our preamp and obviously our SGT circuit on. We can run this with just the preamp and the cab. We can run it with just the cab. We can run it with the cab and the SGT without the preamp. There's so many things we can do. We can run this pedal without the cab, without the preamp, just the SGT circuit. Obviously, we can run it with just the preamp. And so many other ways. I'm so sorry, guys. The allergies are just really hitting me at this moment for some reason. I apologize for the coughing. So you can run this in any configuration you want. And remember, you can blend these. You can run the preamp out and one of the other outs, whether that be the XLR or the 1/4 inch out, and blend those two together. So if you like that cab sound, but you're missing some of the clarity of this preamp, you can run just the preamp out and mix them however you want. There's so many options to this pedal. It's just really, really fantastic. But I think it's got a good bass, which is the preamp. The preamp in this thing sounds great. It's a fantastic sounding preamp. I really, really like it. I'm really sold on this pedal, guys. It's really nice. It's great. It's versatile. It's just like a everything in a box, everything you need for live playing, even a lot of studio playing. It's just really, really nice for what you get. Ampeg really hit it out of the park with this. Now this is, going after that Ampeg sound. You can get sounds obviously other than your standard classic Ampeg sounds with this, but it does give you the ability to get those classic Ampeg sounds. So I like that. One thing that a lot of people go for is kind of that SVT sound, and one of the pedals that came out here in the past year or two was a pedal called the Bass Rig Super Vintage pedal from Origin Effects. And it's touted to be an SVT in a box, and it does it remarkably well, extremely well. I think this is definitely a direct competitor to it. When this thing came out, I was like, okay, game on. Now we've got two awesome pedals that do the SVT thing extremely well. There's some things I like a little bit better about the Origin Effects pedal with some of the overdrive stuff. It sounds just a little bit better to me, to my ears, but not like significantly better. But the overdrive tones in this pedal sound amazing. But the thing with this is not only can you do the SVT thing, but you can do the B15 thing, which you can't do with the Origin Effects pedal. That, along with some of the other features that this had, I decided to go with this one over the Origin Effects, and I haven't been disappointed. It's a fantastic pedal, guys. It's got an outstanding preamp in it. It's built remarkably well. Everything about it is just awesome. Where they go from here, if they come out with a second version, second generation of this, or some other pedal that tops this, it's going to be awesome to see. But they definitely hit it out of the park with this pedal. It's fantastic. So if you've been looking at one of these pedal guys and gals, I say guys as a general term. If you've been looking at this pedal, definitely go get hands-on and try it out. It's definitely one to not overlook. It's fantastic. Pretty good price point for what you're getting. You know, it's coming in at like right at $400, which is $100 less than the Origin Effects pedal. But I think both of them are priced very well. Not cheap by any means, but, you know, definitely not super expensive. It's kind of middle of the road for what we're looking at for bass DIs. It's definitely worth the money, in my opinion. I think you should spend a decent amount of money to get a proper piece of gear. You know, you can find some great sounding boxes for, you know, $300 or under. There's not a lot of them, but there are some. But I don't think I found one that sounds as good as this pedal, you know, for that price point for sure. So I'm of the school, you know, spend money to make money. You've got to spend money to have some good gear, especially if you're going in the realms of, you know, doing this professionally and things like that, which is what I do. I'm a professional touring studio bass player. This thing's fantastic, guys. I can't say enough about it. But that's it for today's video. I was really trying to make it short. I'm pretty sure we went over 45 minutes, but I tried my best. But I really wanted to go through this pedal and show you all the features of it and show you what it absolutely can do. I didn't go over the compressor, but it is just a one-knob compressor. You may have seen it kicking in ever so often on some of those, you know, real crazy outliers. I don't have it set super high, but I like to get some of those outliers. Fantastic pedal, guys. There again, I've said it probably 7 times now. Definitely go check out the Ampeg SGT-DI. You won't be disappointed. I'll make some other videos on this. I promise they will be shorter. Doing some videos just talking about it a little bit more and some of the things that I really like once I've, you know, played with it quite a bit more and things like that. But that's it for today, guys. Go check out the Ampeg SGT-DI. Stay tuned for more content. Check out all my other content. You can find me, my channel on YouTube is The Nashville Bassist. You can find me at The Nashville Bassist on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me various other places. But check out some other content. Stay tuned for more content. Appreciate you guys watching so much. There again, I'm Brandon Wren, The Nashville Bassist. We'll catch you next time.